Uh, So we will discuss the remaining part of the uh, endocrine gland. So we have finished up to now pituitary gland and pineal gland. Today we will discuss thyroid gland. First of all, thyroid gland. Later on, the remaining other glands. So regarding thyroid gland, this is located in the cervical region, just below the larynx. You can see in this picture, it is located just below the larynx in your ventral side, just below the larynx towards the ventral side, and it is a single gland, but it appears bilobed. There is two lobe, but the gland is single, and the two lobe, that is the left and right lobe, is connected by isthmus. That is called as isthmus. Okay. When you see in the posterior side of the gland, you will see four other types of structure. This one, two, three, four. These are actually parathyroid gland. You know the term para means in vicinity of. So these are different glands which is found in the vicinity of thyroid gland. Therefore, it is called as parathyroid gland. First of all, we will deal with thyroid gland. Uh, Later on, we will talk about parathyroid. So if you remember, during your competitive preparation exam, you might have uh, seen this that the thyroid gland is made of follicular cells. Follicular cells. In this diagram, you can see these follicular cells. These are the follicular cells of the thyroid. And other than these follicular cells, nearby to this is a different cell that is called as parafollicular cells. Parafollicular cells and follicular cells. These are two basic components of thyroid gland, both parafollicular and follicular cells. Uh, in this lumen of the parafollicular cells, you can see this colloid, where the process of storage and synthesis of thyroxine hormones takes place. Two major hormones of uh, thyroid gland, that is tetraiodothyronine and triiodothyronine, that is called as T3 and T4. And this another third hormone is secreted from parafollicular cells, that is called as thyrocalcitonin. So there are three major hormones related to thyroid gland. So the thyroid gland is made of thyroid follicles. You know, you know that thyroglobulin is a globulin, that is a protein which play important role in thyroid hormone production. Thyroxine is a major hormone. This is also called a T4 hormone, tetraiodothyronine hormone, which is derived from tyrosine. It is the main hormone of the thyroid. Next is T3, that is triiodothyronine. This T3 can convert into tetraiodothyronine, that is thyroxine. So first of all, there is T2. They can form T3. They can form T4. So finally, there in the colloid of the thyroid gland, there will be T3 hormone and T4 hormone. T4 hormone is called as thyroxine, the major hormone of the thyroid gland. Also, there is triiodothyronine. Other than these two hormones, I've told you that parafollicular cells, that is the C cells, secrete thyrocalcitonin. Upper these two hormones, that is T3 and T4, are under the control of TSH secreted by the uh, pituitary gland. You know, pituitary secrete TSH hormone. So secretion of thyroxine and T3 is under the control of TSH, but the secretion of thyrocalcitonin is not under the control of TSH of the pituitary, but it is controlled by the level of the sodium in the blood. So the level of the serum sodium controls the secretion of thyrocalcitonin, but T3 and T4 are under the control of TSH. A feedback regulation controls the secretion of T3 and TSH, T3 and T4 from the uh, thyroid gland. So overall, the functions of thyroxines are They maintain the basal metabolic rate. They are important for breathing, heart rate, working of the nervous system, maintaining body weight, muscle strength, body temperature, heat, libido, cholesterol level, and many other than this. So our topic is basically the pathology of thyroid gland. So in pathology, there can be four main conditions. First is cyst, second is atrophy, third is hypothyroidism, and the fourth is hyperthyroidism. So the cyst can be ultimobrachial cyst, thyroglossal duct cyst, or parenchymal cyst. So there can be formation of cyst in the thyroid gland. Also, the thyroid gland may atrophy due to some changes in the thyroid gland, or also due to changes in the pituitary gland. Since the thyroid gland is under the control of pituitary, it can be secondary to the change in the pituitary gland also. But the major topic of discussion is hypersecretion and hyposecretion. When there is hyposecretion of thyroxine, it is called as hypothyroidism. That is, deficiency of thyroxine is called as hypothyroidism. How it occurs? It occurs due to atrophy or fibrosis of the thyroid gland. It may occur due to some inflammatory changes. It may be secondary to the pituitary gland action, or it may be due to thyroidectomy, that is removal of thyroid gland by surgical method. So in hypothyroidism case, the different effect will be, in young growing individual, it causes cretinism. In adult, it causes myxedema. I have told you earlier that cretinism not only lead to dwarfness of the individual, but also mental retardedness of the individual. So in this way, you can differentiate it from the effect of growth hormone. The growth hormone causes dwarfness, but not mental retardedness. But in hypothyroidism, cretinism are also mentally retarded. In adults, due to low basal metabolic rate, a condition occurs that is called as mixed edema. In some animals, particularly in dogs, it leads to obesity, loss of hair, skin becomes very thick, and the animals appear dull and depressed. In calves, they are either aborted, abortion can be seen, or in cattle, sluggishness, less production of milk, silent heat, and other reproductive disorder can be due to less secretion of thyroxine. Since the BMR is abnormally low, the metabolic activity of the body is very slowed. There will be feeling of fatigueness, the skin will become dry, the animal will be depressed, more sensitive to cold temperature, there will be pain in the joint and muscles. So these are some effects due to low secretion of thyroxine. In this diagram, I've tried to show this is the case of cretinism, dwarfness in the rabbit, and also they are mentally retarded. And this is the condition due to low BMR. The animal seems to be dull and depressed. In case of hyperthyroidism, there is no any technical term, but it causes anxiety, irritability, nervous hyperactivity, sweating, shaking of limbs, loss of hair, and disturbances in the reproductive cycle. So these are some changes due to hypersecretion of thyroid. So we have seen it. Next is goiter, an important term related to thyroid gland. So first of all, थायराइड एक कंफ्यूजन आप एकदम दूर कर लीजिए कि ग्वाइटर इसलिए नहीं होता कि थायरोक्सिन की कमी हो जाए, ग्वाइटर इसलिए नहीं होता कि थायरोक्सिन ज्यादा हो जाए, ग्वाइटर इसलिए नहीं होता कि थायरोक्सिन नॉर्मल है. ये किसी भी कंडीशन में हो सकता है. नॉर्मल सेक्रेशन ऑफ थायरोक्सिन से भी ग्वाइटर हो सकता है, हाइपर सेक्रेशन से, लोअर सेक्रेशन में भी ग्वाइटर देखने को मिल सकता है. तो रिलेटेड टू हार्मोन लेवल ग्वाइटर का ज्यादा लेना देना नहीं. इट इज रिलेटेड टू डिफिशियंसी ऑफ आयोडीन बेसिकली. It is not related to the hormone. So in this case, there will be non-inflammatory and non-neoplastic enlargement of the thyroid gland. It is just this. It is not related to level of thyroxine. There will be non-inflammatory and non-neoplastic enlargement of thyroid gland. It is called as goiter. And there are some responsible agents which cause goiter. Those are called as goitrogens. Say for examples, this can be cabbage, soybean, some drugs like sulfonamides, phenothiazine, thiacyanides, or thiourea. Some plant product, some drugs can lead to formation of goiter. So there are basically four types of goiter. In humans, there is basically six types of goiter in humans, but in case of animals, particularly there are three types of goiter. That is parenchymatous goiter, colloidal goiter, nodular goiter, and this last that is called as exothermic goiter or Graves disease is very rare. It is very rare in human, which is more important in human. It is very rare in animals. So Graves disease are giving much importance in case of human, but in animals it has no importance. It is very rare. But the most common goiter in animals it is colloid goiter. So in nutshell, four different types of goiter can be seen in animals. These are some examples where you can see photographs where you can see the enlargement of the uh, thyroid gland showing goiter. There is also a condition where there is inflammatory condition of the thyroid. So you know ITS denotes inflammation. So this is the inflammation of thyroid, and this can be due to any cause. Say for example, this can be also due to infection. But if you don't know the cause of the inflammation of the thyroid, that is, it is due to undetermined etiology, then three different conditions you can see. And this first one is particularly important, also in human also, this Hashimoto's disease. You might have read this Hashimoto's disease in humans. So, foremost important is this Hashimoto's stroma. However, other than Hashimoto's, there are Quervain's, there are Riedel stroma, but most important is Hashimoto's stroma. So it is seen in basically in dogs. This condition is seen in humans and in dogs. Genetic predisposition is the cause, and maximum cases are seen in beagle breed of dogs. So I was dealing with Hashimoto's stroma condition, which is due to inflammatory condition of thyroid. So it is basically seen in beagle breed of dogs, and it is a case of autoimmune reaction. From objective point of view, you must remember this is a case of autoimmune reaction. This is usually asked in objective, an important objective about Hashimoto's disease. This is a autoimmune case, autoimmune disease, and in this case there will be fatigueness. The skin will be pale, dry. The nails will become brittle. There will be loss of hair. The animal will lose weight. There will be pain in the muscles and bones. So this is one of the important condition. Also important from examination point of view. These are two other conditions which is not more important. One is Quervain's thyroiditis. It follows the disease follows an acute respiratory infection. So it causes it leads pathway for infection of viral disease, leading to respiratory infection. And in this case, you will see necrosis, epithelial cell necrosis, and infiltration of histiocytes, fibroblast, and multinucleated giant cells. This portion is not much important from examination point of view. Next is Riedel's stroma. The gland becomes, this is also important from objective point of view. The thyroid gland becomes very firm, hard, and it get adherent with the surrounding tissue. Then the condition is called as Riedel stroma. So remember this. But point of differentiation with Hashimoto's disease is it is unilateral. It is unilateral and Hashimoto's disease is bilateral. That is, both the lobes is involved in Hashimoto's disease. In radial only one lobe, either left or right lobe will be involved. Also, there will be no giant cells infiltration in case of radial stroma. This is a point of differentiation with the Hashimoto's condition. And next is neoplasm. You just remember these names. In thyroid, the different neoplasm are adenoma, adenocarcinoma, or some secondary tumors coming by process of metastasis. These are tumors from mammary gland or lymphosarcomas. These are some of the neoplasm of the thyroid. Am I audible? आप सुन तो पा रहे हो ना मुझे?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
ठीक है, थोड़ा डिस्टरबेंस हो रहा है, पता नहीं क्यों हो रहा है, बार बार कुछ ना कुछ एडमिट के लिए मुझे दिखा रहा है. However, moving to the next gland, this is parathyroid gland. So they are four in number. They are very minute glands on the dorsal side of the thyroid gland. They are four in numbers, very small, and you know their secretion is the secretion of parathyroid gland is called as parathormone, and the parathormone is responsible for regulation of the body calcium ion. So this is important gland, and its secretion is important for homeostasis of calcium and phosphorus level in the body. And also this gland has two major cells. One is oxyphil cells and the other is chief cells. So this chief cells is basically responsible for formation of parathormone hormone. So parathyroid gland secretes a hormone called parathormone, which is important for maintaining calcium phosphorus balance in the body. So in case when there is increased secretion of parathormone, the level of blood calcium will lower down. The calcium level will go down, but the phosphorus level will increase. Phosphorus level will increase, and this will lead to a condition called as osteitis fibrosa cystica. This is called cause osteitis fibrosa cystica and rubber jaw syndrome. These two terms are important for objective point of view. Particularly this rubber jaw syndrome, it is due to increased secretion of parathormone. And in case of decreased secretion, that is hypoparathyroidism, the blood calcium will increase, and in this condition there will be pathological calcification, metastatic type calcification in the body. So this will lead to metastatic calcification all over the body if calcium level increases above 12 milligram per dl in the blood. Next to it is thymus. So thymus is also a very small gland, heterotrophy with age, and it is located, the space between the two lungs is called as mediastinum, and this mediastinum, this lungs is located. So the location is thymus. The location of thymus is in the mediastinum, and it also has two lobes, right lobe and left lobe. It is a single gland having two lobes. So thymus is a single gland. It is not a paired gland found in the thoracic cavity of mediastinum. And you also know thymus is important for lymphopoiesis, for educating the T lymphocytes. So its role is in the immune system. The educated T lymphocytes from the thymus gland are then dispersed to other body lymphoid organs like Peyer's patches, lymph nodes, spleen, and they help in antibody responses. In case of toxemia, if by any reason there is toxemia in the body, then you can see hemorrhage in the thymus, particularly in chickens and young animals. The thymus will become hemorrhagic in case of toxemic cases. These are two conditions related to disorder of the thymus gland. One is status thymolymphaticus and other is the myasthenia gravis. This myasthenia gravis is more important from an objective point of view, and in human it is also gaining much importance. It is also a case of autoimmune disease. It is also an autoimmune disease, remember it. So status thymolymphaticus in dogs, cats and cattle cause sudden death without showing any symptoms. The animals die. And in case of myasthenia gravis, it is related to the uh, uh, paralysis of the muscles due to some derangement in the nervous system. So in this case, the muscle will become paralyzed, and weak. Myasthenia gravis, very painful condition. Related to neoplasm of thymus, there is two conditions. One is thymoma and other is lymphosarcoma. So remember these two tumors of thymus. One is thymoma. Since the cells of the thymus is called as thymocytes, the tumor is called as thymoma, and one is thymosarcoma. This is the case of Myasthenia gravis. You see, you can see the paralysis of the limbs. The animal is unable to stand, walk, which causes Myasthenia gravis. One more important is pancreas. So, related to pancreas, you know its location. It is located in the loop of the duodenum, and if you see its cells, it has about 50, only 5% of the cell of pancreas is responsible for formation of endocrine function. So pancreas holds dual position. It secretes both enzymes and hormones. It is both exocrine and endocrine in nature. It has dual function. So the shell performing the endocrine function is called as islets of Langerhans, and it has basically three types of cells: delta cells, alpha cells, and beta cells. So three different cells are found in the islets of Langerhans, which is responsible for hormone production. And this pancreatic acini is responsible for formation of the different enzymes. This is exocrine portion, and this inner one is the endocrine portion of the pancreas. So it has both exocrine and endocrine function. Islets of Langerhans is responsible for hormone secretion. The important hormones, basically the pancreas hormones are responsible for regulation of blood glucose levels. And the different hormones are, one is gastrin, other is glucagon, other is insulin. So gastrin has no role in glucose metabolism. However, this glucagon, this insulin are responsible for glucose level. This somatostatin is also responsible for glucose level. And the fifth one is the VIP, that is vasoactive intestinal peptide, which is responsible for water regulation from the intestine. So basically insulin, glucagon and somatostatin. These three hormones are responsible for glucose regulation in the body. The disorders in pancreas is basically the diabetes mellitus. The most important condition due to disorder in pancreas is due to hyposecretion of pancreatic hormone, basically the insulin, leads to formation of diabetes mellitus, and it is usually two types: diabetes 1 and diabetes 2. What are these 1 and 2? Other than diabetes, there can be hyperglycemia. The level of glucose will increase. There can be hypoglycemia. You can easily understand this. But to discuss is this DM1 and DM2, diabetes mellitus 1 and diabetes mellitus 2. So in normal case, when the pancreas release insulin, it acts over the receptors found on the different body cells, which helps in utilization of glucose. So it has to lower the glucose level in the blood. These glucose are being utilized by the cells by the effect of insulin receptors present over the cell surface. But in case of diabetes mellitus 1, there is destruction of beta cells, which is responsible for insulin formation, and therefore there will be low or minimum secretion of insulin, and the body cannot utilize glucose, and there will be hyperglycemia. But in case of diabetes 2, the secretion of insulin may be normal. There is there can be slight decrease or even maybe normal level of insulin, but the utilization of glucose by the cells do not occur, since the receptors, there is change in the receptor structure, and these receptors cannot recognize insulin and allow them to act over the cell surface so that the cell can utilize this glucose, and the net result here will also be hyperglycemia. And this is more common than this type 1. In humans, basically type 2 is more common than type 1. So this was about diabetes mellitus. Now moving to adrenal gland, it is found over the, as a crown. It is located over the tip of the kidney. This is kidney, and just like a crown, it is found over the kidney adrenal gland. And it is divided into two parts. The outer part is called cortex, and the inner part is medulla. You know this. The cortex part, and this is the medullary part. In the cortex part, there is three different arrangement of cells. The first part is zona glomerulata, second zona fasciculata, and third is zona reticularis. Zona glomerulata is responsible for production of aldosterone, which is basically a mineralocorticoid that is regulate sodium potassium ion in the body. Zona fasciculata releases cortisol, corticosterone, cortisone, which are glucocorticoids and responsible for glucose metabolism. Zona reticularis are responsible for secretion of androgens, and these are responsible for maintaining the musculation or feminization in the male and females. This adrenal medulla secretes epinephrine or norepinephrine, that is adrenaline or noradrenaline, and which is important for uh, emergency condition like fight, fright, and flight. In emergency condition, these epinephrine and norepinephrine are released in a stress condition. So, two major hormones from the adrenal cortex is mineralocorticoids, responsible for salt and water balance, glucocorticoids, which regulate the blood glucose. The adrenal medulla secretes epinephrine, norepinephrine. They regulate heartbeat, respiration rate, cardiac muscle contraction, blood pressure, and also blood glucose levels. So, first of all, talking about adrenal cortex, I have told you these layers: glomerulata, fasciculata, and reticularis. This produces mineralocorticoids, these glucocorticoids, these androgens, and these are the medullary part which secrete epinephrine, norepinephrine. We have discussed this. So now we'll talk about the disorders. So due to deficiency of the adrenal cortical hormones, there are different hormones of the adrenal corticals, that is glucocorticoids basically. In deficiency in dogs, it causes anorexia, diarrhea, uh, azotemia, low level of sodium ion, cardiovascular effect, eosinophilia, high level of potassium ion, dehydration, hair loss, vomiting. These are the conditions shown due to deficiency of glucocorticoids basically in dogs. And also there is a condition called as shipping fever, which is due to stress when the animals are being transported, or due to some other condition when the animals undergo stress, there will be less secretion of ACTH. Adrenocorticotropic hormone is responsible for secretion of regulation of hormones from the adrenal cortex. So this will lead to pneumonia. Basically, shipping fever will lead to pneumonia and fever. So this was few conditions related to insufficiency. Also, there is Addison's disease. More important, this term is more important in humans. It is exceedingly rare in animals. The Addison's disease is usually not seen in animals, but is important in human case. So, the body will show weakness, anemic, BP will be decreased, and the skin will become brown pigmented. This diagram is showing a rare case of Addison's disease in dog. Also due to deficiency of mineralocorticoids, that is aldosterone, which is responsible for maintaining the sodium chloride and the water in the body. So in deficiency of aldosterone, there will be minimum cardiac output, the BP will decrease and can even cause death of the animal. In case of hypersecretion, the important term from objective point of view is, in case of hypersecretion of adrenal cortex, it will lead to Cushing's syndrome. At least you remember this term. If you don't remember you remember that Cushing's syndrome is due to hypersecretion of adrenal cortex, and it will be manifested by obesity, excessive body hair formation, osteoporosis, a stretch mark in the skin, and the skin becomes very thin. And in case of some deficiency or excess of the androgens, in case of basically the excess of androgens, the girls behave like boys, and the uh, boys start behaving like the precocious puberty occurs. So very early puberty occurs. So in case of boys or girls, precocious puberty occurs when there is excess of androgens. Puberty signs start formation much earlier. Even there can be, as I told you, the girl can behave like a boy, that is pseudo hermaphroditism case can also be seen due to adrenal virility. And last is this adrenal medulla. So you know that two hormones, adrenaline and noradrenaline. The major hormone is adrenaline, uh, which is 4 times more than formation of this noradrenaline. And these hormones regulates heartbeat, breathing, cardiac muscle contraction, blood pressure, blood glucose levels. Has no special terms related to deficiency or increase in the formation of epinephrine or norepinephrine. But in case of continuous stress, these hormones can lead to depletion of lipids in the body. The body fat reserve will be depleted in case of continuous stress under the effect of adrenaline. And the important tumors of adrenal glands are adenoma, which is seen in dogs and horses. And this term is also important from objective point of view, pheochromocytoma or medullary chromophynoma. Pheochromocytoma or medullary chromophynoma, it is being asked in objective, is also reported in dogs. It is basically a case of humans, but it can also be seen in dogs, cattle, horses, and sheep. So this was all about